outside. A clear violation of the fundamental principles of our international system came with Russia's illegal annexation of the Crimean Peninsula and its behavior in eastern Ukraine. And the situation in Crimea also led to the militarization of the Azov Sea. This is what happens when international law is violated. Tensions rise and conflicts proliferate. A new arms race, and nuclear arms race in particular, can only make the world less secure, not more. Our collective security requires a solid multilateral architecture for non-proliferation and disarmament. This is why the European Union has worked and will continue to work to preserve the nuclear deal with Iran.
Coming up after the break, United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres has said gender equality is fundamentally a question of power, as we still live in a male-dominated world with a male-dominated culture.
Senegal sulo ye mako ya rakiranye anini peri tamna loto ye je rakiranye ani moto ba ko wamuna problemoti ani ngani yonye yele nyoe nganye mbali tota ngase kanye marse ko ngatanga ta fay ba ko te ke masakunda men fo chemsi bole kala woto ni masakunda fo dara ba ko den kol dani nyanda sonnale nyamoy fayje ko sorun musolu wolbe batari be yankam kato kono ni nga fero sodono to mbimbo tanyi marché kono bara hani fere kasekiri dol ma sodona man kesni roti andu mandara manoka ya jembe soti ari marché bunda to nyami musul nak suñ ko waxe moy jigen ñi mu nekk programme nga xamne nañ leen ko indil fini ci Eyeafrica TV luñ ci juplu nak mo nekk ne bepp jigen bu nga xamne mu ngi fini ci biir rewi Gambia ya xam ngay dan sa doole ya xam nga nekk ci li nga xamne moy jëfé wala nga nekk ci li nga xamne moy li la yokka diñ lañ la ko indil fini dinañ dem be fi nga xamne fofu la jigen ñi nekk di dan sen doole wala li nga xamne tamit moy sen jëfé ñu indil leen ko fi waxtaan ak yeen bokk ko askan wi programme bi nak ngeen di ci and ak man mi sen xarit Masre Diop àllarba bu jot juroom benn waxtu su joté mu jëm nak be juroom benn waxtu su tégalé fanweeri minute kon nak bu leen ko raté
Welcome back. You're watching the World Today Evening Bulletin. Let's now take a look at the remaining stories. Venezuelan opposition supporters blocked a highway during a protest against a blackout that has left millions without power in Caracas, Venezuela. Dozens of people followed the protest call of opposition leader Juan Guaido against the power cuts in the country and blocked some highways across Venezuela. Venezuelan opposition supporters blocked a highway during a protest against a blackout that has left millions without power in Caracas, Venezuela. Dozens of people followed the protest call of opposition leader Juan Guaido against the power cuts in the country and blocked some highways across Venezuela. Opponents gathered in different parts of the capital stopped traffic on some roads. The security forces did not interfere with the protesters. In Caracas, where communication and internet access were interrupted due to days of power failure, it was seen that the participation of the opposition in the demonstrations was low compared to the previous demonstrations. Speaking about nationwide power outages that have entered their fifth day, Maduro asked the justice system to go after those responsible for this gigantic damage. Venezuela plunged into darkness last Thursday with power cuts hitting 21 out of 23 states. Maduro and his government have termed the outage a sabotage amid a lingering political crisis in the country. In Monday's address, the president accused the saboteurs of robbing the Venezuelan people of the right to life and peace. He reiterated that the imperialist government of the U.S. had ordered this alleged attack, adding that the same strategy of war had been used to destroy the people of Iraq, Iran, and Syria. Also on Monday, Cuba accused the U.S. of sabotaging the power grid of Venezuela. Cuba condemns the terrorist sabotage against Venezuela's electric system, tweeted Cuban President Miguel Diaz-Canel Bermudez. He added that this outage deprives the population of essential services of life. United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres has said gender equality is fundamentally a question of power, as we still live in a male-dominated world with a male-dominated culture. Guterres said he was proud to be a feminist and added that we all need to be feminists in order to make sure that gender equality is achieved in our unequal societies. Let's take a look at this insert.
Gender equality is fundamentally a question of power, as we still live in a male-dominated world with a male-dominated culture. I'm proud to be a feminist. And for all those men that believe that gender equality is a necessity, I recommend that they also are feminists. We all need to be feminists in order to make sure that gender equality is achieved in our unequal societies.
For her part, the president of Trinidad and Tobago, Paula Mewika, said while women are moving ahead, they are moving ahead very slowly because the cultural norms which affect both men and women's thinking keeps us from going quickly as we can. Listen to her in this insert.
Men are moving ahead, they are moving ahead very slowly because the cultural norms which affect both men's and women's thinking keeps us from going as quickly as we can. So that, as I mentioned in the panel, we do not have a fair representation of women in the STEM fields. Girls have not been encouraged to take risks. They have not been encouraged to do science subjects. So that while there is access, there is no true equity, or very little of it.
Hong Kong and Kazakhstan on Wednesday joined the growing list of nations barring Boeing 737 MAX from flying over their airspace with immediate effect in the wake of a deadly plane crash in Ethiopia last Sunday. The Civil Aviation Department of Hong Kong, a semi-autonomous Chinese region, said that it has imposed a temporary suspension from 6 p.m. local time on Wednesday until further notice on operation of Boeing 737 MAX aircraft into, out of, and over Hong Kong. Soon after the crash of Boeing 737 MAX in Ethiopia, China blocked the Boeing from flying, which was followed by the European Union, UK, Mongolia, India, and Turkey, despite assurances given by the Boeing. The results of the crash investigation are yet to come. The Boeing 737 MAX 8 has been in commercial use since 2016. On Sunday, a Kenya-bound Boeing 737 MAX 8 crashed just 6 minutes after taking off from an airport in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. All 157 on board, 149 passengers and 8 crew members representing 35 countries were killed in the crash. It was the second deadly crash of Boeing 737 aircraft in less than 5 months. On October 29, the Indonesian Lion airplane crashed into the sea, killing 189 people. The Pentagon is asking for $718 billion in its budget for the fiscal year 2020, a 5% increase over the approved budget 2019. The $718 billion budget is comprised of a base budget of $544 billion with an additional $164 billion budget dedicated to overseas contingency operations. Sajid Sambo has more.
The Pentagon is asking for $718 billion in its budget for the fiscal year 2020, a 5% increase over the approved budget for 2019. Whilst the White House released the general points of the defense budget on Monday, the Pentagon released the full budget on Tuesday. The $718 billion budget is comprised of a base budget of $544 billion with an additional $164 billion dedicated to overseas contingency operations. The Department of Defense also requests $14 billion for a Space Force, of which $72 million will be used towards the building of a headquarters for the new military branch. US President Donald Trump first announced plans last year to create a Space Force, which would become the 6th branch of the armed forces. It would be the first new military branch in 72 years. The Pentagon also asked for $13.6 billion towards the development of missile defense capabilities as China and Russia race to create new hypersonic weapons. Within the budget request also lies $9 billion for emergency funds, which include hurricane relief efforts, as well as $3.6 billion directed towards potential building parts of Trump's border wall. We have new money for the border in our budget to support the president's priority, Deputy Undersecretary of Defense Elena McCosker said in news briefing. Last month, Trump declared a national emergency on border security, attempting to circumvent Congress for funds after lawmakers gave him only a small fraction of the $5.7 billion he had been asking to build the US-Mexico border wall. The Trump administration's budget is merely a request to Congress, which has the authority to craft and approve federal budgets. The budget proposal is unlikely to be mirrored by the federal legislature. For Africa TV News, Sajo Sambo.
Well, viewers, that's all we have for you on the World Today Evening Bulletin. For more on these and other stories, log on to our website, eyeafrica.tv. I am Fatoumata Jaju. Bye for now.
Vehicles, you are giving it to parliamentarians. Where is the source? The parliamentarians themselves should challenge that.
Look, APRC and GDC no opposition. All other parties, that doesn't concern either UDP or NRP or PDP, they are all in the government. So we put it one after man, dama against ID card mu nekk $450. Man mosuma si ànd te duma si mos a ànd.
yow xaalis boobu nu mu fa ñëwee loolu nga war a njëkk a laajte because social security institution doo xam ne social security waru fa ñàkk a xaalis yëfi profit social security loolu waxtaani banda la loolu dafa war a automatique.
Barrow lu ma ko ñaan mooy na wàcce 3 years am su demee 5 years dafa am problème leadership bu fi bàyyi dafa bon right now amul direction bu correct réew mi ñëpp seen am nañ disappointment si nguuri Barrow.
benn nit munta jagal réew da ngaa def li nga war a def bàyyi keneen ñu continuer
ndax dañoo bëri melokaan kenn mënu leen a ràññee ndax dañoo mën a soppeeku ko ci wóolu woon ko fim la tollu bu suba rek mu war la bëgg ñu borom yërmande ku ñu bëgg may ku leen toroxal doy na waa yee waaju gumbo di wone yoon bi dinañu dëkkee ay daanu ku ñu antanul bëgg ñu yennu dina daanu ba taanu sa jikko ji umpuñu ñu la yor te fonkoñu anda bi